Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Superman issue 34, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Eddie Barrows and Iba Ferreira, colors by Alejandro Sanchez, and letters by Ariana Meja. Superboy Prime's adventure with Lois Lane continues this issue, but before all of that, long ago, Superman surveys all of the Superman robots Calyx and the other Kryptonian robots have made for him in the Fortress of Solitude, asking his robotic friend if they feel the same responsibility he does with the power he has. In a neat twist, it's revealed that the Superman who's looking over the robots is a robot himself, and the actual real Superman, donned in a red lab coat, is impressed that the new robot model actually believes he truly is the real Superman. So I gotta say, the red coat look for Superman is killer. It's such a good fucking look. We've seen it before in this book when he was working at Supercorp, but it's just such a cool, really 90s era coded Eradicator vibe to it, especially with the goggles he's been wearing as well. Calyx knows that the robots will act like Superman, but they will still choose self-preservation over sacrifice, something Clark has a problem with, and the robot agrees, asking if Superman is hoping to use them to provide proof that Clark Kent and Superman are different people, and Clark wants to, but until they know more about the technology used inside the robots, he wants to deactivate them, something even these robot Superman agrees with, since it's better to be safe than sorry, just like what Ma used to say. So if this were any other hero, I'd be like, oh, this is set up for like the robots to turn evil, you know, one will go rogue or something, but since it's Superman, I never really have that problem, and it's something I actually noticed while reading this. I've never had a problem with the Superman robots in that regard. I know in the past they've been used against Superman, like someone has broken into the fortress and reprogrammed one or something, but they never outrightly really go insane or anything like that, or if they do, Superman takes them down pretty quickly, and I like that we're not playing with that trope here at all. We're just using them as a force for good. The Superman robot is soon taken offline, and Clark wishes to talk with other robotic experts like Will Magnus, Red Tornado, and Mr. Terrific before bringing them back online, since he knows the robots like this can be corrupted, so they need to keep them a secret, hopeful that one day they can be heroes in their own right. Clark is correct, as in the present, the very same Superman robot he did tests on flies with Superboy Prime and Lois, its hard drives filled with the data about Doomsday's true destiny against Darkseid. Prime hopes that the robot is keeping up as Lois tries to contact Mercy Graves and Mr. Terrific, finding that the League comms are completely down, which is a bad sign. She knows that the Titans have evacuated the entire planet and were meeting with Mercy Graves in orbit, along with the super ships near the moon, but outside of that, she has no idea what's going on. The robot assures Lois that it'll all be okay, commenting how the real Clark must love having Lois flying next to him now. Prime is quite happy that the robot has Superman's optimism, knowing that this is going to work. However, he doesn't want to jinx anything. I'm loving the Lois Prime robot Superman dynamic. It's like some weird fucked up family that's kind of a bit all chaos, because Lois is still like trying to figure out her powers since she never really got a grasp on them before they were taken away. Superboy Prime is just like chaos incarnate, and you got the Superman robot who's trying to kind of keep it all together and kind of acting as Superman, because Superman cannot be in this story because he's in the DCKO event. I'm hoping this dynamic sticks when Prime takes over this ongoing in a few issues post DCKO, like maybe the robot sticks around as Superman or something alongside Superboy Prime. It would be an interesting dynamic. Suddenly the team is attacked by the Apocalyptic fire pits, which explode out of the ground under them. Robot Superman's scans show that the Earth is transforming from the inside out on a molecular level as he hears the screams of some people, unable to break his programming, so he needs to help them, upsetting Prime since they don't have the time for side missions. I like we are seeing more of how Earth was transformed into New Apocalypse, getting to be on the ground, or at least in this case floating just above it as it happens, and the chaos that brings. The robot still trying to be Superman in that moment is a neat idea too. It just wants to uphold its master's wishes even during the end of the world. As Earth is transformed, the other robots at the fortress try and keep Sunboy secured by constantly deploying freeze breath onto him, but the villain is blasted out of the ice by the arrival of Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, and Cosmic Boy, who aren't too pleased that they had to bail Sunboy out, since all he had to do was hunt down Superboy Prime and kill him. Sunboy and Lightning Lad get into an argument, and while they bicker about who did what, Saturn Girl looks around the supposed home of Superman, taking in all of the sights and sounds, and while she sightsees, Calyx ends up becoming a victim of Cosmic Boy, who destroys the robot after it refuses to give up any information information, and this made me kind of sad. Kellogg's is, for all intents and purposes, gone now. I'm sure he will come back in the future once everything is rebuilt, but that's one of Superman's friends. I love the refusal as well from Kellogg's, that he doesn't want to give up any information. He ain't gonna snitch on his friend, and that's a true friend in that regard. Saturn Girl soon stumbles upon a hologram of Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. Finding the Legion of this world was such an important part of Superman's past and future, and he seems to honor them. Saturn Girl tries to justify her own allegiances to Darkseid and what Darkseid has done to them by saying that Superman doesn't care, and we get an interesting moment between her and Lightning Lad, who knows that he's the one who cares for Imra, kind of hinting that there is a romantic relationship going on between them, and it's something that Imra doesn't like because that is something that can be used by the other members of the Legion against them to vie for power. And again, something I've mentioned before when talking about this Legion, I love that their whole deal is basically just backstabbing each other to get more power, to be seen in a better light in Darkseid's eyes. It's all that. It's nothing else. It's no sort of like teamwork or anything. It's just who is the best, and who is the best needs to stay the best by killing or, proving their power. That's exactly how it is in a world created by Darkseid. We've seen it over in the Absolute books. Cosmic Boy arrives and reveals that he didn't get anything from Kellogg's, but Sunboy says they uploaded the information on Darkseid and Doomsday into a robot and left. But if they use Timberwolf, they'll be able to track the heroes. Saturn Girl doesn't want to bother since they know exactly where they are going. Meanwhile, in the KO tournament, Superman and Lex Luthor move into the next round, told by the Heart of Apocalypse that they are part of the Final Four. Lex believes that Superman knew it would come down to both of them, and no matter who they fought, it would always just be him and the Man of Steel. Superman knows he's fighting to support his friends as they join Joker and Wonder Woman, who knows that the Earth-turned apocalypse environment in front of them is not real, it's just another arena the Heart has made to manipulate them. But Clark knows that this is the real deal, as he can hear someone he didn't actually expect to be around. Okay, so now that we know that the next round of the tournament will actually be out on Earth, I didn't actually expect that. I expected it to be out on Earth, but be like in like a dome or like a bubble, like separated from like all these other stories that are happening on Earth, like Lois and Superboy Primes. But it seems like it's just like an open field, more or less. So does that mean we can have other heroes come into the fight and join, or will the Heart intervene somehow and try and strike those heroes down? It's very interesting to see that, because I didn't think that would happen. I thought it would be very self-contained, at least until right at the very end, and maybe that's exactly what it's going to be until the very end and all of the heroes sort of come back and help defeat the Heart one last time. Close by the tournament, Prime tries to stop the robot from helping people since they need to get him to the Justice League Watchtower before his systems fail. The robot is adamant it needs to save people since it's programmed to do what Superman is doing, even in the face of the end of the world. The robot thinks that Prime, who is one of the most powerful people in existence, should do the same, which hits a nerve with Prime, who gets defensive, telling the robot that he doesn't know what he's been through. The robot isn't judging Prime though, but he does have access to Superman's thoughts on Superboy Prime, and while he doesn't hate Superboy Prime, he is disappointed in him as the real Superman wishes to help everyone, including Prime, and Prime reminds him of himself when he was first starting out as a hero, back when he was young and scared. This is a really interesting way of doing this, since this is like a conversation to be had between Prime and, the real Superman, but we can't have that. But we're still going ahead with it, and the caveat being that this Superman robot has all of the memories and thoughts of Superman, so it really is sort of the same thing, but it's also not. I do wonder if Williamson will actually end up writing like a proper Superman talks to Superboy Prime storyline at some point. Like, he has to, because this is kind of just working with the confines he has, since he can't just pluck Superman out of the event and put him down here just for like a page or two. That would be so out of place. So he has to, make do with what he has, and what he has is a Superman robot. I also kind of like there is that sort of added thing where, even like this robot, this, I wouldn't say mindless drone, but for better lack of a word, a mindless drone gets it more than Superboy Prime. If they can get it, why can't Prime seem to understand what it takes to be a hero? And maybe that might be sort of the linchpin that Prime, has that epiphany where it's like, even if a robot robot can get this. Why can't I be what this robot is? It's really cool. It's really interesting. I didn't expect something like this. As Prime goes on the defensive and says that he's not scared, Lois points out the people the robot Superman could hear, and surprisingly, it's the Royal Flush Gang, who are trapped in a destroyed building. It's been a long while since I've seen the Royal Flush Gang, but Williamson using them in a teachable moment for Prime is a fantastic idea, since really, yeah, they are punching bags, and of course Prime wants to just do that. He wants to just beat them up because they are villains, not really understanding that it's the end of the world, the same world they live on, and they are very clearly terrified. The robot Superman insists there's no need to fight and points out that they are scared and approaches the gang, learning that the villains thought this was just an opportunity to raid and pillage, not really believing that the world was actually ending. Robot Superman is happy to help them, wanting to get them off planet where they'll be put into a secure unit. However, they will still be safe and return to Earth once it is saved. Lois thinks that the robot is more like Superman than Prime will want to admit, but all Prime wants to do is get back to the main plotline. The heroes carry the team up to the ship Mercy left in the atmosphere, reuniting with the LexCorp CEO, who reveals what's going on in space with Granny Goodness and how her and her Furies attacked them and the Titans, something we've actually been seeing over in the Titans crossover book. It's also good on Williamson for referencing that and bridging some of the gaps in the stories, and he does it again later on with the Justice League story as well. Mercy knows that Time Trapper is on the Watchtower, and Prime is eager to leave Lois to her job while he goes and finds this Omega tournament, wanting to get in on the fight. Frustrated, Lois stops Prime, telling him it's not always about fighting and he can come with them since they need his help. Prime, however, leaves, figuring Lois got her powers back and they have a Superman robot, so they'll be fine, while he goes and does what he does best, fight. It's really cool how Prime just can't seem to break out of that mold, that programming where he's always kind of got to resort to violence or fighting, since yeah, that's how a lot of writers used him up until he got his redemption story. He would be like that obstacle or the thing that set the stakes that the heroes have to fight their way past, because that's all he would do. He would just fight because he's, you know, the petulant fanboy, and he knows that's what only people want. They want the action figures clacking together, and I like Lois is trying to tell him, and it's something we've been seeing throughout this entire event, that there is more to this than just, you know, the action figures clacking together. And Prime can be more than that, and I like he's still trying to figure that out, but also still reverts back to what he knows best, because that's all he's ever done. He doesn't know any better. He needs to be taught better. It's making Superboy Prime a much more well-rounded character, and I like all the bases being laid here, so when Williamson eventually gets to write him in the Superman ongoing properly, we're going to have a nice starting point for his story. With Prime gone, Lois and the Superman robot head into the Watchtower, finally getting in contact with Mr. Terrific, who is a little busy in hell, a story which Justice League Unlimited is covering. The robot alerts Lois to the destroyed Watchtower control room, citing how a battle took place. They soon find Time Trapper, who has honestly looked better than this. He's beaten, bloody, and almost dead. Trapper explains that they were betrayed by Booster Gold, who has become possessed by Darkseid. Lois tries to help him up, revealing the Superman robot, and the little back and forth Trapper has with the robot is quite good, since Trapper knows that's not really Superman, it's just a robot, but the robot reminds Trapper that not everyone is what they appear to be, and it's something he should know very well, being he used to be a mindless monster called Doomsday, and now he's a much more well put together, you know, I dare say elegant villain in Time Trapper. Before they can reveal the important information to Time Trapper about his destiny, the Watchtower is blown open by the Legion, who confront the heroes. Saturn Girl gets into Lois's mind, knowing that she is worrying about Clark a lot, wondering if that is really what love is. She's just trying to like psych her out a little bit. The others almost kill Time Trapper, but Imra wants him left alive since they want to know why they brought the robot to him and what is on its hard drives, warning Lois to open her mind freely, otherwise she will just rip it out of her. It all looks rather dire for the Superman robot and Lois, but that's when the tides turn thanks to Superboy Prime making his grand return, blasting into the Watchtower and dealing with Sunboy and Timberwolf as if they are nothing. He tells Saturn Girl to look into his mind if she dares, and with eyes blazing with his heat vision, he tells the villains that ever since the event where he killed a bunch of people, he's been afraid of losing control again and doing that again, so he's been holding back, but now they have messed with his new BFF Lois Lane, so he's done holding back, and now it's fucking prime time. What a way to end the book, canonizing the prime time meme properly here, and and making it one of Prime's catchphrases. It was obvious he would come back. I didn't think he'd come back with the Primetime catchphrase. That's really cool. But as I said, I'm really looking forward to what Williamson is going to do with him in his heroic turn as the main Superman now. You know, the base has been laid. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's got in store for that hero. Superman issue 34 further built out Superboy Prime's turn to superheroics, pairing him with Lois Lane and a robot that for all intents and purposes was literally just Superman, to help shepherd him in the right direction. This issue felt very much like an Act 2 going into Act 3 transitional issue where it was setting up all of the big stuff to happen in the finale of DC KO, and that's okay, the issues can do that, and so the main plot doesn't really get a lot of play here, but instead we do a great job of setting up everything Williamson is planning on doing with Superboy Prime. He's laying that base down for the character to be a bit more well-rounded, not always focusing on killing and finding out that there is more to superheroics than just doing that and beating the bad guy. So it's all great stuff, and I'm really looking forward to him diving deep into the character after DC KO has finished up, because Superboy Prime is sticking around as the main Superman for the Superman ongoing, so I cannot wait to see how that turns out. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.